I don't know how many years on this earth I got left. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
Welcome to the Let's Get Weird With It vlog, where I read weird, alt, transgressive, and fringe books. This is a literary wasteland where logic withers and the bizarre blooms. A place where breakfast foods declare war, emotional turbulence wears dog suits, and waifs walk the razor's edge of reality. So the first book I read is Waif by Samantha Kolesnik. This is about an unsatisfied lady who sees her physical... I'm going to have to close the door, hold on. As I was saying, this is about a lady who sees the physical doppelganger of her masturbatory fantasies in a grocery store and immediately spiral dives into a fever dream of fetish films, black market Botox, and queer chaos. It turns out that all it takes to dismantle your bourgeois life and abusive marriage is one mysterious glance and a question about marshmallows. The main themes in this were of control and power. Who gets to mold you? Society? A surgeon? Yourself? In this book, Angela wrestles with who owns her body and narrative. There was also a queer found family element in this, because the waifs in this story offer messy, honest connection in contrast to Angela's hollow marriage, highlighting close kinship as salvation. What's my personal review about this book? Well, I really didn't like it because I found that the synopsis was so misleading. This turned out to be entirely different to what I was expecting. So it is listed as horror, but let me read you the synopsis from Goodreads so you can see what I mean. With horror, there's a scale. All right, there's extreme and there's light. And the way this was worded sounded like it was on the light end of the horror scale. Angela has everything she thought she ever wanted. A successful husband, a lavish house, and a bottomless fortune. But the sight of a strange man in a grocery store one night reawakens her dormant sexuality, and soon Angela embarks on a dangerous descent into the world of underground pornography and back alley plastic surgery. As the stakes get higher, long-buried memories resurface, and Angela finds herself enamored with Rima, a fetish film performer. With some help from a queer gang called the Waifs, Angela is forced to make a decision between her unhappy upper-class life and the treacherous world of underground film. So to me, it seems to be about a woman regaining her agency and reclaiming her sexuality. However, this book was just filled to the brim with on-page essay and grape, violent, detailed, graphic grape, as well as a ton of body horror. There was also a lot of internalized homophobia in this as well. This was not a good for her book, and that's what it made it sound like. Am I taking crazy pills? Let me know down below what you would think from that synopsis compared to what we actually got. I didn't enjoy the book. What happened to Angela was horrifying. I do not think things turned out well for her whatsoever. All of the characters in this book were sadists, violent, awful human beings, if you can call them that. There was also necrophilia in this too. The list goes on. The list just keeps going on. Check the trigger warnings. I was in for such a shock. I was not expecting any of that stuff. So that's what I mean. The cover too, even all of the covers, none of it implies what is actually within the book. If I knew I was getting into more like on the extreme horror end, then I would have been prepared. But because I wasn't, yeah, it's a messed up book. Do I recommend it? I don't know who I recommend it for. Like I said, I have read other extreme horror. I'm not really an extreme horror girly, but I don't know, this one was a bit weird. I don't really get what the point was. Like, I could see they were trying to do the queer found family thing, but this is not a queer found family you want to be a part of. Like I said, the main character Angela also had a lot of that internalized homophobia. So I'm like, I'm not really happy for her too either, being in this woman-on-woman relationship, because she's problematic. The essay in this, that like you think, oh, she sees this man that she's pictured in her head whenever she wanks off. So she imagined him, she created him, and then lo and behold, there he is in the flesh, he exists, he's real. What happens with that is disgusting and not okay. Like I said, I don't know. This one just threw me for a loop because it wasn't what I was anticipating. I was expecting like a weird girl litfic with a bit of, you know, violence, hence the horror element of a woman like trying to regain her independence and her righteous fury, you know, the whole female rage aspect after being subjugated in her marriage and yada yada yada. But that wasn't what we got. But yeah, just such a disconnect between the synopsis, the covers, and the actual story itself. That being said, I probably would read again from this author. I like their writing style, but this story just did not work for me on any level. I apologize for the background noise, but we're all getting ready to go out tonight, and I already spoke to her and she's like, no, I gotta do my hair now, mum. So hopefully that sound isn't as loud for you as it is for me. The next, bless you darlings. The next book I picked up was The Pickled Apocalypse of Pancake Island by Cameron Pierce. Gaston Glue, the embodiment of a soggy pickle, is tired of marinating in grief on Pickled Planet. So naturally, he builds himself a rocket ship and blasts straight into a syrupy sea. There on Pancake Island, yes, it's literally pancakes, lives Fanny Fod, a flapjack femme fatale guarding a creature called the Cuddly Wampus, who might just be the source of all happiness. Together, they must confront breakfast, destiny, and existential despair while being mildly sticky and aggressively weird. The main theme of this book was the search for happiness. At its gooey center, the story wrestles with the elusive nature of joy. Fanny Fod protects the Cuddly Wampus, a literal symbol of happiness. Gaston is desperate to escape his sadness, even if it means rocketing into and disrupting this previously peaceful world. So this is a bizarro fiction. As you know, I am also new to bizarro fiction. I haven't dipped my toe into too many of its pools. There have been some that I found to be 5 stars. An example for me would be Luva's having demon mode. The Flying Nun by Cody Goodfellow. That's my perfect bizarro fiction. This was so bizarre. So I didn't like it. It is wacky and absurd and ridiculous. There is also on-page rape, necrophilia, and violence in this. My God, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Sausage Party movie.
Oh, Jesus, fuck! Oh, gummy skin! She's peeling me fucking stuff! Fuck!
You know, where you've got the food items committing acts of absolute depravity, and that is Gaston Glue. He is miserable and he doesn't care who he steps on his path to happiness. He wants what he wants and he's going to get it, no matter the consequences. It's very easy to read though, okay? It's very easy, it's silly, but yeah, at the same time confronting. I'm like, holy shit balls, man. Like, okay, here we are. I never thought I'd be reading a scene like this, and yep, that is my life right now. But I can't tell you if it's good in relation to bizarro fiction as a genre. I just haven't read enough to determine, oh, this is fantastically done, or this is just popcorn version of it. I just don't know. I haven't read enough. So it's something that will grow with time, and hopefully I do find more bizarros that I think are amazeballs. Fingers crossed. But yes, that was that book. Okay, I am back and the sound has stopped. The last book I read was Mood Swings by Frankie Barnett. In a world where all animals have finally snapped and turned against their human overlords, humans respond by just deleting them. We then follow a sad poet turned plant dealer who finds herself cosplaying as a Dalmatian for cash.
Give me the cash!
Her best friend is busy spiraling with a cancelled celebrity boyfriend, and she's busy falling for a California billionaire who promises to build a time machine that will fix everything. It probably won't work, but at least the houseplants are thriving. The main themes in this one were of late-stage capitalism, so there's a lot about gig work, wealth disparity, and the monetization of grief, because as you might imagine, a lot of humans aren't coping well with the sudden deletion of every single animal on the planet. The book features cults, billionaires, the internet, shitty men, millennial Gen Z aimlessness, and just the struggle to find purpose in a collapsing world while being young and dumb. This is probably what I would classify as absurdist fiction. The cover is what caught my eye. It sounded weird and fun, and I thought it was okay. It does feature grape and mass animal death, so those are things that happen quite frequently. It kind of reminds me of the book Worry. The main two female characters are idiots. They're young, they're dumb, they're not doing well, and they're pretty much just existing and trying to pay their bills so that they don't end up on the streets in a world that's gone to shit and may or may not be salvageable. This one felt, I don't know, a little bit messy in its narrative flow, just the way it switched from POVs as well as time periods. It was a little confusing, and it affected the pace and the flow of the book. The conclusion wasn't satisfying for me. I don't know if everyone will feel that way, but I went into this knowing this is probably one of those books where nothing's going to be resolved in a nice, neat little bow. But yeah, it was a weird one. There were really no likable characters at all in it, but it did give me a greater appreciation. Oh, I'm gonna have to turn you off because there's a rosella in my front garden, and I have to get him. Such a little cutie. Okay, let me sum up the books I read for this reading vlog by giving you a book that's similar, but maybe a little bit less weird. So for Waif by Samantha Curlsnick, I would recommend Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh. This is about a bitter young woman working in a boys' prison in the 1960s who gets drawn into something dark. It's gritty and repressed, but with that same simmering internal chaos and identity unraveling. We then had The Pickled Apocalypse of Pancake Island by Cameron Pierce, and for this I would recommend Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. There are themes of isolation, memory, wonder, and metaphysical weirdness. Like Gaston, Piranesi lives in a strange, self-contained world and slowly uncovers its emotional and philosophical truths. Surreal, but meditative rather than manic. And the last book, Mood Swings by Frankie Barnett, I would recommend Severance by Ling Ma. A millennial office worker keeps going to her publishing job as a slow-motion apocalypse unfolds, and then joins a cult-like survivor group led by a wannabe prophet. So I survived the pickled, pancake-smothered, emotionally unstable fever dream that is Weird Book World. My brain is slightly warped, my soul is moderately singed, and my sense of normalcy permanently evicted. But that's the price of art, babes. So go forth, dear reader, hug your animal companions, and remember, reality is optional, but weird books are forever. So as usual, I am including a perfume in today's vlog, and that is Black Salt by Heretic Parfum. The notes are lime, tangerine, black pepper, and eucalyptus with Turkish rose, water lily, jasmine, sea salt, petrichor, labdanum, and seaweed. Black Salt is a tempest in a bottle. Briny, luminous, and hauntingly sensual. It conjures storm-lashed coastlines, salt-crusted skin, and wild floral winds blown in from mythic seas. It is for sea witches, rain walkers, and dreamers who feel most alive in wet liminal spaces. It's melancholic but radiant, wild but restrained, a ritualistic fragrance that smells like sacred sea rites and moon-drenched solitude. The misty brininess specifically reminded me of the beach scene in the movie A Series of Unfortunate Events, which is based on the book by Lemony Snicket. That's what it smelled like. It was very evocative of that particular scene. The book that I would pair with this fragrance is The Night and the Month by Rachel Gillig, which is a gothic romantasy about a dream seer serving creepy gods in a misty moorland cathedral and a snarky heretic knight named Roderick, who both team up to find her sisters. Before the Gods Come for Her next. So those are all the books for this Weird Books reading vlog. I am now going out to celebrate my cousin's 18th birthday party, so I'll leave you with footage of that. But until next time, stay weird, Star Child.
I ordered some fries for it.
We are the weirdos, mister.